All right, guys. So this is the menu for my game. You click host game, start game. As soon as you click start game, you will hear like the plane rotors, and that will know that you're listening. Sorry, I don't have a menu that tells you you're listening. And then as soon as the person joins, it'll just load into here like you saw earlier. So basically, once you get in, you click the map button with your hand. You just touch it, or you click the airports button with your finger. The map shows you your current location. The airports let you select where to spawn. So down at the bottom, it's a little hard to see, but down at the bottom, there's some arrows pointing left and right. To the right there, a little bit behind the seat, you can see there's arrows pointing up and down. And then above that, there are a plus and a minus sign. So it's a little janky, but basically you want to zoom out a bit. As you can see, I'm scrolling to the right. Then when you find kind of the general area that you want to be, you zoom in and then adjust, zoom in and adjust, zoom in and adjust. When you load into an airport, you want to be zoomed in as much as possible. Otherwise, because it doesn't load directly to the airport, it loads to the general vicinity of the little checkpoint, as you can see. So the vicinity itself is smaller if you zoom in more. So basically you want to zoom in as much as you can and then touch one of these little red icons. So you can see here, touch it, suddenly the world changes. If you have a guest in your multiplayer game, he will also load into here. And that's that. Now to fly the plane right now, it's stationary. I'm not sure if you can see it if you'll be able to see it in the video, but there's basically just two mechanisms of control, a joystick and a throttle. As you can see here, the map, that's the current location. So you can see a little bit down there, you saw the throttle. And basically, it's just, you push the throttle up or down, and then the joystick you grab, it's a virtual joystick, virtual throttle, and you grab it and you move it around. It's not like a realistic joystick. It doesn't have yaw and pitch. It's more like if you played like No Man's Sky or like simple mode of games. When you turn with it, it kind of banks the plane. So just be aware of that. Yeah, and then it should be moving along. You can see some of those clouds and whatnot. They're not like super awesome clouds, but they look kind of cool. So yeah, there's the map. You can see the plane moving on the map. These are just some visuals here if you want to kind of see how the game looks. There are 3D buildings in certain locations in the world. Here, I don't think you can see a few 3D buildings here. There's not a map. Actually, there might not actually be very many in this area. But yeah, so certain major cities, you'll see 3D buildings. Basically, the ground is a satellite texture. The 3D buildings' roof is the satellite texture. The walls are just like a random texture. So here you can see some 3D buildings. That's the Tokyo Skytree. It's not an original model, so it doesn't actually look like the Skytree, but it does look like a narrow, tall, tower similar to the Tokyo Skytree. And you can see some other 3D buildings here now. This is, as you can imagine, this is Tokyo. And yeah, these are just some of the visuals of what you can expect to see when playing Flying Explorer, which is the name of this game. I didn't put too much thought into it. So yeah, here's more of Tokyo. I think this is around the Shibuya crossing. So this is an example of kind of some janky visuals. You can see the ground and the buildings look a bit odd here. They're kind of like flexing a little bit. They're kind of like distorted a little bit, probably based on elevation. I don't know. Basically for these buildings, for this whole map, this world, I'm using a library called Mapbox, a service, and they also have a library for their service for Unity. That's what I'm using for this. So here's kind of leaving central Tokyo now, just flying around some suburbs. There's some mountains there you can see, some examples of how mountains look. Actually, I think they look pretty cool. Yeah, so just more examples of flying around. This whole time, once again, I have a guest with me for multiplayer. He's in the second seat of the plane behind me. He's able to see everything I see. I don't have any functionality to switch places with him or anything for him to drive. It's basically the host will be the driver. The guest will be the passenger. Yeah, and he also has his own map. He can't actually see your map. He can't see your map or your airport button. He also cannot interact with your controls. If he tries to glitch through the seat or anything, he won't be able to access your controls. But he does have his own map. You won't be able to see his map either. you have finger tracking for yourself, but you will not be able to see his finger tracking. Additionally, I don't have like day-night cycles. I don't have weather support. There's no collision. There's no voice chat, so I recommend using Discord or something like that. It's possible the guest player may also see the clouds may not be as smooth, although I may have fixed that. So here, this is Mount Fuji. You can see. You can also see some textures there on the ground, and the white textures. I would imagine those are probably clouds on the satellite image. So it's a little weird, but what can you do? So here is once again another example of looking at the airport list, choosing an airport to go to, and here's an example of once again changing your current location using the airport menu. So here we're going to be going to the Miami International Airport. So you can just see the general idea of how you use this menu, clicking the buttons, zooming in, zooming out, and readjusting exactly where it is you want to go. So at this part here, I wasn't sure what the Miami International Airport was, so I zoom out, I think, to try to readjust. Yeah, so I zoom out, and then I find it. I'm like, oh, is that one up there at the top? So I go up, and then I start zooming in again. Yeah, sorry, I could have probably made it a little easier to use, but, it is what it is. So here we go into the Miami International Airport. You touch it, it loads in, you close the menu. It doesn't automatically close, you have to close it by touching it like that. And then go to the map. Now we can see that's where we currently are, and we've loaded in near the Miami International Airport. And so this is a visual here of, Florida outside of the Miami International Airport. So yeah, just another example of varied environments, varied terrains, what you can expect to see. A lot of the buildings here are 3D. I think most of them are actually 3D here. So as you could tell, like I said before, the clouds are relatively simple. It's just the same clouds all the time. It's 2 layers. You got this little thin layer right below me right now, and then a layer up top. You can also go above that one if you want to. As I mentioned as well, there's no collision. So if you were to try to crash into the ground, you would just go through it, and then you'd probably be in a void. So, I don't recommend doing that unless you just want to for no reason. I think now we've gotten to an area now where there's not that many 3D buildings. Okay. So then now we're going to Portugal here. So this area doesn't really have many 3D buildings at all. So this is just another example of what you can expect to see going to various locations. So there we go. We loaded it in. So the satellite textures are pretty decent here, though. Just no 3D buildings. So just going around, and this is what you can expect to see. So yeah, I definitely think if you guys are interested, check out the game. I'm calling it Fly and Explore Earth VR. It is available on itch.io. And I also want to point out this is not a flight simulator. It's just the joystick and the throttle, like I said, and the joystick's not even really realistic. Obviously, as you can see, the plane can even stay stationary, so that's not realistic at all. And I also wanted to mention that if too many players, over 25,000 unique players, play within a month, it will stop working because of the limit on my free Mapbox account. So yeah, anyway, if you're interested, check out the game and have fun.